Hello, this is Dr. Grafton, and in this video we're going to be reviewing assignment 2.3 in chapter 3, Scatterplots. In management analysis, we often look for relationships between variables. In specific numeric variables, this relationship is often termed a regression analysis. We're going to be looking more closely at regression analysis later in the course, but we're looking at one of the tools for that, and that's called a scatter plot. And this is a good way to begin with any regression analysis. In fact, later on when we do linear regression, we'll be doing scatter plots with those as well. And of course, as I indicated, a scatter plot basically is a graphical representation of two or more variables. And if you can look at the graph and you can see that relationship, and in this particular assignment, we're going to be able to construct that graph and see if we can detect that. So I'm going to show you how to do that. In the data file that comes with it, there's actually 4 iterations of what you're going to need to do. We're looking at 4 contenders for the presidency in 2008, Obama, Clinton, McCain, and Romney. And we're looking at the corresponding correlation between the dollar amounts, which will be our y-axis, the vertical axis, and the contributors, which will be our x-axis, okay? We're going to show you how to impose a trend line and show you that corresponding equation. And then we're going to show you the equation for doing the correlation. Now, with other assignments, getting the graphing part done is just part of the assignment. You still need to interpret the data and explain any possible rationales for the points that are not on or not close to the corresponding trend line. So let's look at the spreadsheet. So this is what you'll see when you download it. You've got the 4 candidates in the 2008 presidential race: Obama, Clinton, McCain, and Romney. These are actually the states and how many contributors and what the dollar amount, and then what the percentage of that total was for that particular candidate. Now, what I've done is, because you have 4 candidates, you're going to need 4 sheets. I went ahead and created a sheet down here. Look at the bottom left, you see the name Obama. And on this, I started with putting a little header on there, naming it after the candidate, the table of requested correlations, contributors, and the dollar amount. And we're going to be entering a formula in there. So let's go back to the data thing. So the first thing we want to do is create the scatter plot. So we've done this before, highlighted the 2 titles of the corresponding columns that we're wanting. Do the shift, control. Let's do that again. Control shift down arrow. And now we go up to insert, look at charts, and we say scatter charts. And you see it popped it up there right away. I'm going to go ahead and edit it to put Obama's name on there. Now, we're not going to want it here in the middle of our data, so I'm going to right click, cut, click on here, Obama, highlight there, and paste. Okay, so there it is. You can see there looks like a trend there. All right, so if you go ahead and point to one of the dots, right click on it, it'll come up with this menu, add trend line. Click on that, and over at the right, you'll see where it says formatting trend line. This is going to be a linear line, so you can see it already popped up on the graph. Then down here, I want you to click on display equation on chart. All right, so there's our line slope formula from algebra. In fact, that's why we call this a linear equation, because it's using a line, okay? And we'll talk later when we talk about linear regression as to what we can do with that equation. All right, the second thing that it's wanting you to do is to enter the formula for the correlation analysis. So I went ahead and typed it out in this cell over here. You can see my cursor by it. I'm doing that. I formatted it to a text box, so it's just showing the text. I'm doing that so you can see what the formula is. Now this is going to change with each candidate. Okay, so right now we're looking at Obama, so that data uh, is the sheet that we're getting it from, and then the references for the two columns are for the Obama data. If you go back to the data file here and you look, you see Clinton is a H and a G, McCain is an M and an L, and Romney is an R and a Q. So that formula is going to be different with each candidate. But I'm going to show you how to do it with Obama. Then you're going to have to do it with the other three candidates, recognizing that that formula is going to change for each of them. Okay. After you've done this, then let me go ahead and enter the formula. But after you've done this, then you're going to have to answer the questions and see what your interpretation is. So in this cell, we're going to hit equal, telling Excel there's a formula coming. You can see the tooltip comes up, tells you what that formula does, returns the correlation coefficient between two data sets. So a correlation coefficient is going to be between -1 and +1. And so as you get closer to each end, it'll tell you how close that correlation. If it's a 0, that means there's no correlation. If it's like a 0.99, it means it's a pretty strong positive. If it's a negative 0.99, that's going to mean it's pretty strong negative. The negative correlation and the positive correlation is not uh, a term that's talking about being bad or anything. It's just telling you what the slope of the line is. And I'll tell you here in a minute what this one is after we enter the formula. Okay. So I'm telling it what sheet the data is on. I'm telling it what columns to use for that data. So we want column C4 through 54. That's the first array. The next one then is going to be again referring to the next two columns. And then close print. Okay. Now you saw that I capitalized the column letter. Excel will automatically check that for us. So it's telling us that our correlation is a 0.997172. You can leave it in that format. That's fine. As I indicated earlier, it's going to be between a point -1 and a point +1. Because this is positive, the line is going up. Now, if this was a negative, then the line would start over here in the left column and go down. That's basically what positive and negative are telling us. So this is a 0.997. That's a pretty strong correlation. So it's telling you that there's something uh, with that data that is doing that. And you can see how the dots are clustered. They're pretty close to the line. So you can make your analysis of that. You need to do this 3 more times for each of the candidates. Again, this formula is going to change because you're going to use different columns for those candidates, but you can use this one as an example to create the other ones. Okay. I hope you find this video helpful and good luck.